I think that the end of factory farming is far from inevitable. Every year, we're factory farming about 2% more animals globally. I think there are two possible trajectories we could go down. One is the trajectory that we have been on for the last century, which is technology has made factory farming ever more efficient, resulted in ever more animals being abused in ever more intensive ways. Yeah. There is a trajectory where we reduce the number of animals on factory farms, where we reduce the suffering of each of those animals. So even if we get AGI, I'm really optimistic that that will accelerate forms of technological progress. It will bring us better alternative proteins. It will improve the humane technology. But there are still huge cultural and political obstacles to alternatives. So the cultural obstacles are that most people want real meat. I mean, most people have the option already of plant-based meat that tastes about as good as real meat.
Does it? I don't know.
Well, so this is the debate. That's fair. This is a debate. But I don't think that's just the obstacle that people have. I think there are a lot of people who say, I'm just not interested in, the alternative. I want the real thing. And then there's also the political obstacle. So let's say that AGI solves cultivated meat for us. Well, cultivated meat's already illegal in 7 U.S. states. It might soon be illegal in the entire European Union. So by the time we get AGI, will they even be able to sell it anywhere? So again, I think there's a huge amount of good that technology can do in this space, and I'm optimistic that AGI can accelerate that hugely. But at the same time, I think we should prepare for the significant possibility that AGI does not end factory farming, that actually this is an incredibly efficient system that has persisted through all kinds of technological changes, and that could persist through this technological change.
What is it that makes it so efficient?
So the basic efficiency is the animal, and the chicken in particular, has evolved over a very long time to be a being that can take in a relatively small amount of grain and convert it very efficiently into a form of protein that people like to eat. So the feed conversion ratio for chickens, the amount of grain you put in to get meat out, is like 2x. And that grain is incredibly cheap. Right. And the rest of the production process is incredibly cheap because they've removed everything that costs money around like treating the animals well and providing comfort and all that stuff. They've just gotten rid of it all. So they've gotten down to this point where it's insanely cheap. So you're trying to beat the price of grain times 2 plus a few extra costs. And that is actually a really hard target to meet. And that's why factory farm chicken is so insanely cheap today.
Maybe an intuition pump here is we've been spending on the order of hundreds of billions of dollars a year in order to replicate human intelligence. And human intelligence has been developed, I don't know, it depends on when you start counting intelligence has started evolving, but like on the order of hundreds to tens of millions of years ago, evolution has been trying to optimize for this intelligence thing. And we've had to spend all this effort in order to replicate it. Converting calories into meat has been something that evolution has been optimizing for billions of years, right? So everything from the immune system to growth factors to delivering nutrition, et cetera, texture, whatever. This is what evolution is working on the entire time. So it makes sense why this is actually such a tough problem. Are you ready to throw some cold water on your friends? How far away is cultivated meat actually?
I think it completely depends on what we do from here.
Okay.
So, and it also depends on what you mean by cultivated meat. I mean, there are companies right now that are selling cultivated meat in very small volumes at very high price points, which is incredible. The challenge from here is how do you scale that and bring the price point down to compete with the incredibly low price point of factory farm chicken? And I think how long it takes to get there, and indeed whether we get there, really depends on what happens from here. We are not on a path right now when it comes to the amount of venture capital funding available, when it comes to the current startups available. We're not on a path to reach cultivated meat that is cheaper than factory farmed chicken. I think we could get on that path.
Sorry, ever?
Well, I mean, it depends. Contingent on AGI and contingent on what happens with AGI, right? Like, I wouldn't rule it out, but I don't think it's the default path. I don't think it's the most likely outcome.
I mean, eventually we'll have like nanotech or whatever, right? At that point, raising chickens can't be the thing to do.
Well, you would think like nanotech and bringing robotics and all these things, but like unless the cost of all those things goes down to close to zero, chickens are just going to be so insanely cheap. And so, yeah, maybe. Like, I think it is totally possible that these AGI technologies introduce incredible new proteins that help solve this problem for us. But I don't think we should rely on it. First, because they might not be able to solve some of these problems to the point that it is as cheap as chicken. But second, because you still have these cultural and political barriers.
If you enjoyed this clip, you can watch the full episode here and subscribe for more clips. Thanks.